We're now joined by our correspondent, Laura Makin-Isherwood, live to us from Latvia. Laura, thank you so much for your time. Can you confirm whether the meeting of these presidents did take place?
Yes, indeed. Well, this morning, the President of Estonia announced that he was going to be heading to Ukraine, posting a picture on Twitter saying that he was going to be joined by his counterparts from Latvia, Lithuania and Poland in showing solidarity with Ukraine, showing a message of support, and also that they might offer up further military assistance. They headed to meet President Zelenskyy in Kyiv to offer that support and to show that they want Ukraine to remain independent and sovereign as well. And they also will be worried, of course, given that they are Baltic nations, three of them, their borders aligning with Russia, that should Ukraine fall, they may be next in line for some kind of attack should Russia decide that that is the action that they want to take. They are the edge of the NATO alliance. There are NATO troops here in Latvia, in Lithuania, Estonia and Poland as part of the enhanced forward presence, based there since 2014 when the annexation of Crimea occurred and as NATO decided it wanted to have more presence on its eastern flank. We are told NATO says that they are a defensive force, but obviously in the last few weeks and days there have been more and more troops that have been placed out here watching and assessing the situation in Ukraine. Now, Germany's president, as you say, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, had been expected to join those four presidents, but he was snubbed. He said it had been made clear to him that he wasn't wanted in Kyiv, and the German newspaper Bild actually quoted an unnamed Ukrainian diplomat as saying, "We all know of Steinmeier's close relations with Russia here. He is not welcome in Kyiv at the moment. Let's see if that changes." That's in reference perhaps to his seemingly softer stance on Russia, the friendly relationship that he seemed to have with Moscow when he was a foreign minister previously, and could also be in reference to criticisms that have been thrown at Germany and the Chancellor Olaf Scholz, saying they have been too soft on Russia too. So President Zelenskyy, perhaps this is a tactical diplomatic move. Nobody's confirming that. But we know, of course, that Germany has been snubbed, and they clearly are, according to that unnamed diplomat, hoping that their stance may change.
So what does this then mean for the two countries going forward if at the moment it doesn't appear as if Ukraine is very much forgiving?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, President Zelenskyy has also issued a new plea for further support, further weapons. He's been asking Europe for more military assistance, more weapons, more tanks, more hardware, and he's posted this video now in English basically listing the types of military hardware he wants, from tanks to jets to specific rounds of ammunitions, and the countries that he might indeed be able to get those from, saying the US could provide tanks and also Germany as well. So maybe this is an attempt by him to garner more support from the West, from Germany as well, and say, look, you have to stand by us here. And of course, he is saying that without Western support, then there could be a continuing bloodbath in Ukraine, he says. Of course, Russia will deny that they are carrying out attacks that are indiscriminate. Russia and the Kremlin saying that this assault, this invasion is necessary, that it's to defend Russian land as well. But President Zelenskyy seems determined to continue to fight on, and he is hoping that Europe will join.
So if the fighting then continues, as you've just said, what then are the presidents that were meeting today? I mean, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia and Poland, what for them seems to be the way forward now in terms of the agreement post that meeting?
Well, all they can do at the moment is offer up extra hardware, extra ammunition, and basically supply troops in Ukraine with the resources that they may need to continue their fight to defend their nation, because they are NATO nations, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia and Poland. They are part of NATO. They are a boundary. And NATO's stance at the moment is that they're not going to put boots on the ground there. They're not going to send people in beyond NATO's borders. So all they can do is offer up hardware. Now, of course, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has said that if he sees any NATO or Western allies moving their vehicles into Ukrainian territory, then that will be a legitimate target. But Ukraine is responsible for getting that equipment from European soil, from NATO soil, into Ukraine's territory itself. So that could be another kind of war of words from Russia, another warning trying to put Europe and NATO off going any further, because seemingly this invasion is not going exactly how President Putin planned.
And of course, I wonder then very briefly for us, what happens then in terms of talks to resolve the war in Ukraine? What could we expect next?
Well, the Kremlin has said that they're not going to offer up another ceasefire for talks to take place, peace talks or negotiations. Of course, we saw the Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko meeting with President Putin earlier this week. He had hoped to be involved in any negotiations as a kind of third party. That was an option that President Putin seemed to see as an acceptable platform, he said. But in the hours after that, there was then this sort of U-turn saying peace talks had come to an end, there wouldn't be a ceasefire if any were taking place, and almost saying that it was Ukraine's fault that this had happened. It came after there were these allegations that war crimes had been committed, suspected chemical attacks in Mariupol as well. None of those have been verified just yet. There are investigations ongoing, people trying to work out exactly what is happening on the ground in Ukraine. That's a situation that's very difficult to determine because the situation is so fractious, because people aren't able to get to those areas because it is so dangerous to independently verify what is going on. And so these peace talks, apparently from the Russian side, don't seem to be going very well. Ukraine's advisors, though, say there is absolutely no reason why peace talks can't continue, and they are saying that it will, and that actually what Russia is doing is offering up public statements to effectively put pressure on countries and try to push for the resolution that Russia wants rather than any other nation.
All right, Laura, thank you so much for putting us in the picture there. That is Laura Makin-Isherwood live to us from Latvia.